I'm Alyssa, and I'm returning to doing reading wrap-ups because I honestly miss talking about the books I've read, and I thought you guys might be interested in it. If not, it doesn't hurt to make the video and see it fail. Most of my videos fail anyways now, so I might as well do it for funsies. But seriously, no, I do miss doing reading wrap-ups. So I gathered the last 5 books I've read, which I honestly haven't read too much this year, which kind of bums me out. But anywho, let's just talk about the books that I've read, the past 5 books I've read. First up is Killing Eve, codename Villanelle by Luke Jennings, which this is the first book in the Killing Eve series, and I enjoyed this book. This really heavily focuses on Villanelle, her upbringing, how she became the assassin that she is. It doesn't really focus on Eve Pilastri that much, and this does end on a cliffhanger, but luckily there is a sequel and a 3rd book coming out, so I'm excited to read the sequel to see if there's more of Eve featured, to see more about Villanelle, because she's just such a fantastic villain, and it's just really interesting to learn more about her and what she went through before she went to basically assassin school in this novel, which you don't really get to see in the TV show that much, which the TV show is phenomenal, guys. Check it out if you haven't. But this is a worthy companion. It's not too similar to the TV series, but there are enough similarities so you get that connective tissue. But overall, I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars just because it does end on a cliffhanger, and it's mostly about Villanelle, and there are a few issues with pacing, but overall it's a really quick read, it's fun, it's breezy, and it's really interesting to learn about Villanelle and her intentions and her background. Next up is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This is being adapted into a Netflix movie, which is the reason why I picked this up. And this is a very polarizing novel, and if you read it, you know why. It's just, for me, it was a 3.5 out of 5 star book. And it starts off very slow. I almost DNF'd it because it was really boring to begin with. You're following this unnamed woman and her boyfriend as they're going on a road trip to meet his family. And the first part of the book just starts off with them in the car talking about different things, and I was just getting kind of bored with it. Then more creepy, sinister stuff started happening and it drew me in. And by the end of the novel, I was completely hooked, and it kind of opened my eyes to why the beginning was so slow to begin with. But there are definitely issues with the novel. There are some parts of the book that could have been cut out to cut down on flab, and it does kind of recommend you in the book to read it again because you have that knowledge of what happened, but I feel like I have enough knowledge after reading it to not warrant another read through, just because I feel like I know exactly what happened. But for some people, they're going to need that second read through. And I am excited to see how they adapt this into a movie, if it's going to be the same, if it's going to be different. I can't reveal too much about this without spoiling it, because this is a book you don't want to be spoiled with, even if you end up hating it. I do recommend you check it out if you like horror novels, mystery novels, stuff like that. It's hard to recommend if you're not a fan of those things, and it's hard to recommend if you're not willing to get cerebral with things, if you get my drift. So it's a 3.5 out of 5 for me. I enjoyed it. Certain parts could have been excised, and there are some elements that don't gel as well as others, but overall, it was a creepy book. It made me think, and it was a unique way to tell a story. The next book I read was The First Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz, and this book series, when I was a kid, my 5th grade teacher read it to us, and it scarred me for a very long time. I could not sleep alone for probably 2 or 3 years afterwards. So I went into this expecting to be scared again, and this is highly, highly a book just to scare the ever-loving shit out of children, because I didn't realize when you're reading the stories in here that most of them have instructions about how to scare children. I'm not joking. It'll tell you, look sinisterly to the left, yell at this moment, jump. And it kind of pulls you out of the story just having those instructions there. And the illustrations by Stephen Gamble are very creepy. Just Like, they are creepy, they are well done. They're the best parts of the book, to be honest. But a lot of the stories in here are urban legends that you've heard a million times by now if you're an adult. And I do want to see the film adaptation of this, but reading this as an adult is not a very satisfying experience. Now, for children that want to get into horror and they're older children, I would recommend reading this to them. But otherwise, it's just kind of a flat experience, especially if you're well versed in horror and you're an adult and you're kind of numb to most of this stuff. But I mean, it was groundbreaking when it came out. Again, the illustrations are really well done and creepy. It's just not for me, and I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. As a kid, it scared me. Now, it bored me, I'm sad to say. Now, I read The Bride Test by Helen Huang, which is technically the sequel to The Kiss Quotient, and I freaking adore this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and this focuses on a woman named Esma who is working in Vietnam as a cleaning lady, and one day she is approached by this very wealthy, beautiful woman who gives her an offer to fly out to California for the summer to try to seduce her son into marrying her because she wants her son just to be married. And of course, Esma's like, what the hell? I'm being approached by this strange woman wanting me to marry this guy I've never met. But she realizes that this could be a wonderful opportunity for her family because she is living with her mother, her grandmother, and her daughter in a one-room apartment basically in Vietnam, and she realizes she might be able to give them a better life. So she accepts the deal. She goes out to California and meets Kai and stays with him. But the thing is, Kai is on the autism spectrum, and Esma doesn't realize this. Kai can't verbalize his feelings. He thinks he doesn't have feelings. And this just chronicles how Esma and Kai deal with their relationship, handle being together, and being in a neurotypical / atypical relationship. And what I really love about this novel was not only the autistic representation, which was excellent. Helen herself is on the autism spectrum, so this is own voices. But I love the slow burn romance, and I really love that Esma is a very independent woman. She doesn't need a man. She's just going to be with Kai to provide a better life for her family. But she doesn't need Kai. She wants him sometimes, but she doesn't need him. And I love that she's very driven. She has goals and dreams for herself that don't require Kai. And I loved everything about this book. And I'm so excited to read the next book in this series, which focuses on another member of Kai's family. Because the first book, The Kiss Quotient, focused on Kai's cousin. The next book focuses on his brother. But I highly recommend you read this if you're into romance or are looking for a book that has really excellent autistic representation. You don't have to have read The Kiss Quotient to enjoy this, but it does help. And it kind of gives you a warm fuzzy feeling because you see the characters from The Kiss Quotient pop up in here and you learn what happened with them. But you can read this without having read The Kiss Quotient and be perfectly fine. But I love this. Definitely recommend it. One of my favorite books of the year so far. The last novel I want to talk about is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. Again, this is another 5 out of 5 star book for me. I have adored every single one of Riley Sager's books so far, and this is no exception. This focuses on a woman named Jules, which I really like Jules, and she moves into the Bartholomew to be an apartment sitter, and she basically gets to stay there for the summer. They pay her $1,000 a week just to stay in this really fancy apartment, but it has a lot of strict rules attached with it. She can't have visitors, she can't spend the night away from the apartment, she can't bother the other residents of this very ritzy apartment building, and she doesn't really question this too much until one of her fellow apartment sitters goes missing. And then she starts learning about the sordid history of the Bartholomew, and stuff starts to happen. This does remind me of a classic horror novel that I will not name because if I do, that will spoil what happens in the book. But seeing the similarities to the horror movie was so thrilling. Again, I really liked Jules, and for the most part, she was a very smart character. She wasn't dumb like some horror novels can make their female characters be. She was very smart and strong, and she questioned things, and I really liked her. The other characters in the book aren't as likable, but some of them you do kind of grow attached to. The mystery is very compelling. There are lots of twists and turns. I didn't see it coming, any of them, honestly. Just like Riley Sager's other books, he implements twists so well in his novels, it's crazy. And I highly recommend this if you're looking for a really, really good mystery thriller horror novel with a strong female protagonist, because this is just a home run. This is a fantastic novel. So those are the last 5 books that I've read so far this year. Let me know what you've read down below in the comment box, because I'd love to get some recommendations, and I will do another wrap-up video after the next 5 books I've read. If you liked the video, leave a like, share it if you liked it because it helps my channel grow. If you're new here but you like what you've seen and heard, hit the subscribe button, and also make sure to tap the notification bell even if you are already subscribed, because that helps my channel grow and just makes me super duper happy. If you'd like to follow me on any social media sites, those are linked down below in the description box below the video. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!